Hello! Welcome to the first official video for Inspirsession.com. This year I made a resolution to shop more sustainably and create more of a minimal wardrobe for myself. I thought it would be useful to log both what is coming into my wardrobe and what is going out of my wardrobe on a seasonal basis. I'm hoping that tracking this inventory in real time will help hold me accountable for everything I'm purchasing and purging, like actually getting clothes to the donation center instead of letting them sit in a bag in my room, and also that it will serve as a guide or inspiration source to anybody else who's undertaking this process. So this first video is going to cover everything between January and March, which is basically the latter half of the winter season for anyone who lives here in New York City or in an area with a similar climate. So I'm going to begin with all of the clothing that I'm either donating, tossing, or selling this season. Part of our responsibility as sustainable consumers is that we correctly determine the right removal system for the pieces that we no longer need. For example, you probably wouldn't want to take an oil-stained generic t-shirt to a consignment store and expect to sell it. You also probably shouldn't take that piece to Goodwill. So for each piece you're getting rid of, ask yourself, how can I extend the life of this item? Was it fairly cheap when you purchased it, but still wearable? If so, it probably belongs in the donation bin. If it was a more expensive piece that can certainly be reworn, try to sell it yourself or take it to a consignment store. If the piece is badly stained, ripped, or otherwise unwearable, just do everyone a favor and chuck it in the garbage now. You might also find a place to recycle it, or you could turn it into something new. If it's not something that you yourself would purchase used, don't donate it, because other people probably aren't going to want to buy it either. Ultimately, it just burdens someone else with the job of having to process it and throw it away. I actually learned this myself the hard way when I purchased this piece this season. More on that later. Again, everything that you see in the new editions section was not actually purchased new, but was purchased secondhand and is new to me. There are a few things that I'd like to continue purchasing new. Underwear comes immediately to mind, and also other things made of cotton that tend to retain odors, like socks or t-shirts or workout clothing. Those items I'm going to be focusing on replacing as needed from eco-conscious, fair trade, and/or USA-based brands. You may also notice that my new edition pieces are mostly what I consider basics. For this time, I am focusing on just replacing my basic items with higher quality pieces and not purchasing anything new or trendy until I've worn out the things that I already have. So without further ado, let's begin. This first piece is a good example of something that definitely no longer has sellability. It has attracted several permanent stains, and the last time it came out of the laundry, I noticed this small hole here at the back. This actually came from my loungewear drawer, and it's an item I received from a clothes swap, so at least I can rest assured that it has seen a lot of use already. I'll probably rip this up and use it for rags to clean my very dusty apartment. Item number 2 was a lesson in shopping for me. This sweater never quite fit my body right. It has this weird stretchy waistband thing that never sat on my hips correctly. But it was so soft. I know now to steer clear of soft things in stores because the moment they touch my face, I will buy them. In fact, even though it's quite pilled and faded now, it's still so soft that I'm considering turning it into a pillow. How's that for giving clothing a second life? This next item is a blazer that I purchased in the months after graduating college, when I was still operating under the extreme fantasy that my immediate career path would necessitate owning something this corporate. I have been holding on to it for a while because it's hard for me to find blazers that fit my short torso in any flattering way. However, I finally found an adequate replacement, which will also be featured in this video, so I'm ready to let it go at last. This is an item I will probably donate as it is quite old but still in a fairly good condition. This last item is another blazer, which I purchased secondhand in college and have been hoping for inspiration to wear ever since. I had to get real with myself this year and accept that this just doesn't fit my lifestyle right now, or that it was never flattering in the first place. This piece is by DKNY, which is probably why I've had so much trouble getting rid of it. On account of its designer label and the fact that I hardly wore it myself, I will probably attempt to sell this piece. My first new editions item is a wool pencil skirt from Goodwill. I think this is actually a handmade piece, as there's no sign of a label in it. I'd been looking for a gray skirt like this for a really long time, and I just adore the little pleats in the back of this one. This piece actually fits me perfectly, but its $4 price tag would have easily warranted the cost of tailoring if this hadn't been the case. Next, we have this lovely silk blouse, which I found at Housing Works thrift store here in NYC. It's by Banana Republic and is just a little looser than I would like, so if it doesn't wear well with my summer items, I may have it tailored for fall. For just $8, this was a steal on a decent quality basic which pairs well with almost everything I own. The next item is actually another printed blouse, but in a rayon fabric that will function a bit more casually than its silk counterpart. This is by Vince Camuto and was found on a separate trip to Housing Works. With its bold design, it could operate as more of a statement piece. With my personal love for the fit and versatility of tank blouses though, this counts as more of a basic for me. As my last one of these just wore out last season, I was ready and willing to put down the $25 for this replacement. Along with the tank blouse, Housing Works led me to the neutral blazer of my dreams. This piece is by Theory, and at $100 it costs just a fraction of what it would have run new. As a self-proclaimed penny pincher, this is the top of my budget scale for a single article of clothing, but the excellent tailoring and resaleability of this item made it well worth the price for me. The most recent addition to my wardrobe is this H&M dress, which I found at a thrift shop called Cure in the Lower East Side for just $4. Unfortunately, when I wore this piece a few days ago, I learned the true meaning of you get what you pay for. Over the course of the day, it leached sweat odors left over from its previous owner. Blah! I'm going to rinse this with vinegar and see if that fixes my unsavory problem. If not, I'll have to chalk it up to a bad investment and toss it for good. Finally, I wanted to include a pre-owned piece which I decided to repurpose for continued use this year. This is my favorite tank blouse, which I mentioned gave out last fall. I purchased it full price at Old Navy a few years ago, and for a frequently used piece, it wore surprisingly well. It even lasted the trip through Europe, but somewhere along the way, probably Italy, let's be real, I dripped olive oil on it and the stain eventually wore into an unmendable hole. I just couldn't bear to let this piece go yet, so I cut off the bottom portion and made it into a crop top, which I'll be integrating into my wardrobe this summer. Alright, that concludes everything that I have taken into my wardrobe or sent out of my wardrobe so far this year. I hope this was somewhat helpful for any of you who are starting out in this process, or at the very least, I hope you were entertained mildly by my weird faces. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will continue to update my inventory for your viewing pleasure. And for those of you who are interested in refining your own closet, or maybe wondering what a minimal wardrobe even looks like, I am cooking up what I hope will be a sort of fun lookbook into my current capsules, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, stay inspired, and I'll see you next time.